What's up, YouTube? So I just wanted to chuckle right along. So last night, this guy brings his Honda Fit in for an exhaust inspection. Doesn't let me know about his other concerns, which is a rattling front end and rear end, which I don't give it any thought. So then he comes back and says, hey, the exhaust was leaking and rattling from the exhaust, not including his other issues. So I tell him what it needs. Okay, so he patched in this exhaust section. So then he tells me that the exhaust is rattling. So I was like, oh. Right? Clearance everywhere, right? Clearance everywhere, clearance everywhere, clearance everywhere. All right? He's like, oh, it's rattling from the front side of the car. Well, it ain't rattling from the exhaust. So I'm not sure what your problem is there. And he said, well, and the ABS light's on ever since you worked on it too. So I was like, well, I worked right here. There's no ABS components nowhere near the exhaust system. So ABS components here, ABS components here, if it's equipped. ABS components here and here. So I said, well, what the fuck does that got to do with me? He's like, I don't know, it wasn't like that last night. I'm like, well, I don't care. He said, and there's no sway bar links listed for this car. I said, well, because it probably doesn't have them in the back of the car. So I said, so he says, well, look at the rattles, all the rattles now, which there's no exhaust rattles, and look at the rest of the car. So I was like, all right, well, it's got a bad tire. I scanned it, it's got an implausible signal for the left rear tone ring on the wheel bearing. Left rear, nowhere near right rear of the exhaust system. Blown out shock, so that's your rattle in the back of the car. And the sway bar links are rattling in the front. But I just love how customers, you know, one, think they're smarter than you when it comes to fixing their car. In some cases they are right, but not with me working on their car. Maybe with other people, like, hey, that noise wasn't there. No, my front end's rattling ever since, the old ever since. And I say, well, what does a worn out sway bar link or ball joint have to do with your exhaust system? Because most people can't hear over the exhaust rattles and how loud the exhaust is, because typically they've been driving it with rattling shields and a leaky exhaust system, and then when it alerts them to fix it is when they go and start it up and it's like blah, 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 where they're driving down the road and it's blah, 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 because it finally fell the fuck apart. Now their car's completely loud and vibrating. Then when you make it nice and quiet for them, because that's what they're paying you to do, now they complain about all the other issues that were all currently there, they just ignored the whole time. So ever since I fixed your exhaust, I made the car better. It still has pre-existing problems that are not related to this guy. Thanks for watching.